Uh, Good morning to all. I would like to first thank uh, Professor Ian Dura for inviting me for this international seminar, The Doctrine of Imago Dei and the New Challenges of Transhumanism. I would like to present here a paper, Transhumanism, God's vicegerents at the threshold of transgression. Uh, First, let's talk about the this trend about transhumanism. It's a futuristic idea that already in 1970s, Alvin Toffler wrote a book called Future Shock. He kind of prophesied that in around like 2000, all the jobs, almost like 90% of the jobs, will be done without changing our locations and in our homes. And the only problem for the humans will be how we will manage the spare time we left with without traveling or transportation, and how to manage our cities and new lifestyle. So today's this futuristic idea has changed to a new level, meaning that we call transhumanism. So the human beings will change into another kind of stage where a new culture will dominate the human life. It's impossible not to notice that the seeds of this new life culture are being planted, that we are even already in its threshold, shaping the cultures that humanity has established so far beyond factors such as belief, tradition, climate, and geography. We are faced with a new digital cultural model that shapes all humanity through a common consumption impulse. No matter what country, what religious belief system, what geography they are in, people share on the social media with a new and much broader cycle of culture, even more like civilization than culture. When people talk about transhumanism or transhuman, it refers to a digital human that is not happy with his own creation as God's vicegerent. We are led to believe that next generation will live actually in a whole new world that may surpass the limitations of being human as created by God. Theodicy or theosophical optimism about human capacity to emulate and reflect the attributes of his creator in creating his fellow human beings, and the nature with compassion and wisdom will be challenged with the invention of transhumanism. That is the subject of this presentation from a Muslim perspective about the image of God or image of Dei. In that sense, in 19th century literature was full of examples that widely use the concept of culture in order to replace religion. It could even be said that this floating concept is outdated. In its usage, the concept of culture shatters the experiential continuity of human existence on earth by isolating humanity from its non-human natural environment and also from human communities from one another. The same thing is happening now with the development of these new concepts and new technologies as the digital culture. This time, human beings again is isolated from his social, cultural, even the natural context or natural environment. So considering the fact that religion and faith traditions are included in a generic concept of religion, one can find more preferable to abandon it altogether. Here it is intended that to discover the real continuity of life in multiple directions, especially in our biological capacities, and to get rid of the dominance of discourse that alienate people to themselves on the basis of cultural and social differences. Near digital age culture promises to all humanity that doomed to an endless conflict or confrontation by emphasizing the differences that divide or by finding the commonalities that unite. It is the culture that makes us really different, or culture is just one of the excuses for the conflicts. So the transhumanism or this new digital age promises that all differences will be set aside. So this is the new promise that is discernible, a conceptual change that humanity is going through. Culture was once an ideal that meant development of human spirit and self-enhancement. Romantic idealism once elevated culture even to the rank of self-formation or Selbstausbildung. Culture is also taught to be the way of expressing ourselves by overcoming shortcomings of human nature. Hence, culture in one sense is a kind of information, i.e. shaping the inner self. In that sense, for an individual, becoming cultured means adapting oneself to the social world without. Some Muslim Sufis call it adab or self-discipline or refinement, by making one's inner self-discipline or accountable for his own actions. In other words, culture is taught to be self-control within and without. So in that sense, the human capacity for enhancement for the Muslim thinking is a moral development rather than a physical development. Of course, physically, human beings are created in the best of all forms. So we are, in a sense, need to moral progress in terms of our dealing with our own self and with our fellow human beings. In the ethics and social sciences, cultural values defines or denotes the degree of importance of something or action with the aim of determining which actions are best to do or what way is best to live, or to describe the significance of different actions. Value systems are prospective, prescriptive and normative. Beliefs about the future, they influence or compromise a person's ethical behavior. Now, new digital culture defines new common human behavior as part of limbic system in which the brain is managed. Speaking at the 5th World Government Summit in 2017 in Dubai, one businessman mentioned the work they do in research laboratories and also talked about the new designs they are planning on definition of word and human. Some notes from his speech. Having the fusion of biological intelligence and machine intelligence is actually a very important power. In fact, we are already cyborgs, meaning semi-robotic cybernetic organisms with biological and mechanical parts. Think about the application you have. When you have any question, you can get instant answers from search engines. You have all the information and warnings you will need, especially in communication with your mobile phones. So you have already a digital touch layer already formed. The fact that in the same speech, he calls that the memories as souvenirs from the past. Even traces of the self and the soul are called digital ghosts, like the example of personal photos from the past that continues to smile on social media after a person dies, actually reveals the whole frustrated dystopian universe of this look. There is no human, that human is dead, but the digital traces he left behind never die, are not erased, do not go away. It just keeps wandering around. That being the case, that we call reality actually dies with that person. Digitalization actually has an anti-human, anti-reality language. It is more than just a language. Maybe it is more accurate to say it is a challenge. It means that we are morally and legally opposed the loss of reality, the substantiation of virtue for the real, and actually we in need of defending the human being. Transhumanism cannot be defined more accurately than this. I quote John the Savage, "But I like the inconveniences. We don't," said the controller. "We prefer to do things comfortably. But I don't want comfort. I want God. I want poetry. I want real danger. I want freedom. I want God goodness. I want sin." In fact, said Mustafa Mond, "You are claiming the right to be unhappy." "All right then," said the savage defiantly, "I am claiming the right to be unhappy, not to mention the right to grow old and ugly and impotent, right to have syphilis and cancer, right to have too little to eat, right to be lousy, right to live in a constant apprehension of what may happen tomorrow, right to catch tifo, right to be tortured by unspeakable pains of every kind." There was a long silence. "I claim them all," said the savage at last. Mustafa Mond shrugged his shoulders. "You are welcome," he said. This is from Aldous Huxley's work. In this sense, digital platforms are not regulated by a rule-based morality or rational morality. It is seen a complete secular realm run by the free moral agents or self-sufficient subjects. For modern secular moral person, free will means acting regardless of others. Even those who believe that God is or would be central to his life's meaning have lately questioned how an individual's life might be meaningful in virtue of God, responded that more often than not, they think that it all depends on how the human race might be in the future. As we see here, the new transhumanism promises a life that without any limits, both morally and physically, and it is in that sense a replacement of the old traditions that man might emulate the Godhead or the divine. Imago Dei means for Muslims that God is great, sustainer and creator of all, omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscience, etc. As for human beings, we are his vicegerents. Being vicegerent means that human being is a fascinating composition that he or she both wants to prostrate with the resignation of surrendered servant, and you feel the endless power and power of that lofty one to which you prostrate with every particle of your being. In that sense, for Muslims, the vicegerent means we should emulate in in our moral capacity this endless divine within us. Our Creator is our model, and we represent on earth His all these limitless attributes of our Creator, and we should follow His example, His compassion, His forgiveness, and His, treat all others as His own creation. Thank you very much for your patience, and if there are questions, I would like to answer later or in our break. Thank you.